Hello, welcome to Why Spirituality, where we cover why humans have been historically interested in popular spiritual topics and how they could be useful to you in the now of your everyday life. My name is Nicole, and I'm an interactive energy artist mentor. I specialize in helping people on their journey of understanding their purpose. I think the process of exploring and reading energy, as well as consciously expressing your unique energy, is an art form, and also an amazing way to understand your purpose. Part 2, Why Spirituality Today? So now that we have explored the importance of spirituality in human history, what about for you right now? Some think it's funny to talk to a god or an angel or a demon. Some people might even think it's reaching outside of yourself or away from uppercase G God. But spirituality is simply about understanding, exploring, and co-creating with infinity. We might want proof, but we do not need proof. Anyone looking for proof of infinity misunderstands infinity and is using finite practices with a beginning, middle, and end. These practices are for navigating and measuring human systems and creations. They also help to sometimes fix nature's reactions to humans in a harmonized way. So if you are realizing proof is not important, but you are unhappy with how you feel about your reality and or your day-to-day emotions, it might be time to leave autopilot and try going manual. Going manual is expanding your consciousness beyond one POV. We have been creating since birth. Going manual will also look like working on noticing your multi-layered existence and attempting to understand infinity, a little at a time. It's important to reframe dualistic sentiments with the word expanded. Some popular dualistic ways people describe spirituality, for example, raising your vibration, higher beings, ascension, we are reframing to expand and expansion because your POV is growing beyond Earth. Here are some more dualistic topics that are only a small POV on Earth, so not inclusive of everything else, aka infinity. They'll say high and low, good and evil, dark and light. It's important to keep in mind duality combines in ways that will constantly surprise you. If you open yourself to these possibilities, it can be so life-fulfilling. We will go further into all deities in future podcasts dedicated to their specific style, but let's cover what's relevant to know for this episode. Deities are translators, holders, and adapters of all translations between the original energy they are connected to and human energies. They are also job roles, and sometimes a company all in one. So when you talk to a deity, you are either speaking to a version of you, which means the energy in the job role is from your energy, or the job role was made from your energy. Or you built a bridge. You can learn more about this in my energy artistry lab classes, workbooks, or one-on-one sessions. Your unique human needs combine with the energy job role to create a representative. For those of you already connecting with deities and wondering why they got quiet, it likely means your needs have changed, and you are in need of reflection on how your needs have changed. This comes from you honoring your old needs and reflecting on your old needs to update your new needs. Now that you understand that you are talking to yourself, you probably are still asking the same question. How do I know when I'm making it up? And is it me or the external energy? The answer is everything is. Everything is made up, and you are talking to yourself. But before you get bored or irritated, hear me out. Have you ever thought about what or who you are? What does that mean to you? In my workbooks and one-on-one sessions, I share a technique where you explore important terms in a side-by-side list. One side, you list external opinions, and the other, internal preferences. With deity work, you can find where your energy is on Earth, and you can get help navigating the Earth, and even find your original energy to explore more of your story. But what about navigating what you have created since you were born? Your inner child must be a gold mine, right? For learning about your human energy. Before we get to your inner child, we will need to quickly cover the ego. The ego is extremely misunderstood. This is an important layer of us. It holds what we have created, experienced since birth, which is important to navigate, manifesting, recognizing human energy matches, and our anchor to Earth. To clarify the workings of the ego, let's use the library analogy. So, you have a library realm holding your memoirs, and instead of books, you can meet up with and talk to every version of yourself. You can explore and interact with each experience as a scene. Sometimes we visit these scenes while asleep because our human life does not have the waking capacity at the moment to work with these parts of ourselves. One of the main reasons the ego gets a bad rep is because some of the versions of you are traumatized and neglected, yet loud and in charge. And no one should be in charge except the you in the now. These other parts should become employees or advisors, but not the boss. So instead of you in the now reacting in the now, your inner child, for example, will be in the driver's seat. There are shadow work techniques I explore with clients in my one-on-one sessions. These sessions can help you stay in the driver's seat. The most popular version is the inner child, but for career, it could even be a university version of you. So it's important to understand how much these painful parts who are lashing out in the now with dated experience can vary. Inner child work is very special work, and it truly is a gold mine. From birth to the age of 6 to 9, this age range differs per person, you do not have any filters. So, you are experiencing and expressing your energy at 100%. So all your interests in this age group includes favorite cartoons and behaviors, and they are very helpful hints to how your energy purely co-creates on Earth. Depending on your country, economic status, culture, and family, you will receive filters that tailor to this within the 6 to 9 year bracket. These are for safety and navigating Earth. Paranoid spiritual people call this programming. And yes, in a way, it is programming if we compare ourselves to a computer, but we are more than a limited data set and shifting all the time. So to be more helpful, let's reframe and call it an instruction manual for the current environment. Not knowing our manual needs to be updated could have us feeling let down though. But please keep in mind, it comes from generations and generations of this, so it's really no one's fault. If you identify yourself as an ancestral trauma healer, we break these cycles by understanding that we need a new instruction manual each time we grow. So changing cultures, relationships, worldviews, values, schools, jobs, and more, that's what we need to look into. The way we keep track of our growth would be working on or knowing that you are in control in the now. Everything has to go through you first. It's a process though, so don't force yourself. I specialize in supporting this process in your divine timing. If you need the support, please book a one-on-one session. I would like to share one of the coolest things that can happen when you do develop a relationship with unfiltered you, aka your inner child. Each time you take charge and help your inner child feel safe, your inner child will unlock new memories, or bring relevant ones up that are special hints to who you are. They are so magical and precious because they will always be perfect for whatever you are currently working on. Without going into too much into ancestors, because they are so variable and special per person, so perfect for a one-on-one session, I'm going to attempt going into ancestors. This relationship process doesn't always have to be conscious, because you might not have the same traumas as your ancestors. The ancestral work benefits are similar to the inner child benefits, but it is a little different because they send you their memory in a vision or interest in the form of a craving from their culture. There are some examples for playing an instrument, painting, gardening. These visions and cravings will help you find different ways to ground or connect better with Earth and human systems. Just like everything else in spirituality, it will be perfectly tailored to your needs and what you are working on now. One of the most popular questions I get, other than what's made up or what's not, is how can I tell if my ancestors are my ancestors or is it a past life? It's interesting because it's actually confusing even if you know what's going on. But it's especially confusing if you think everything is linear, left in the past, there's death, or finished. Let's clear it up real quick. Remember that everything in your expanded energy is parallel. Earth lives and the lives expanded beyond Earth are parallel. As a human, your default POV is who you are focusing on now. As for ancestors, you are physically made up of a dialogue between ancestors in need of your expanded energy and you needing their connections to Earth and connections to human systems. This is an extremely oversimplified explanation in comparison with how detailed and so special this is per person. So I will gladly expand on this in a one-on-one session for those who are interested. So when you are receiving inspiration that is helpful to connect with Earth and human systems, whether it's instinctual or conscious, for example, a vision or advice you hear, this will be your ancestors. This is also why you would get in contact with an ancestor. When you need help understanding something, or you are creating something, or when you are connecting to your expanded energy with human tools or systems, this will be a parallel life reaching out, because they have figured out a way to express your shared energy on Earth and it suits you. This always goes both ways though, because you must be an energetic match, which means you have something to help them also with. As you can see, there could easily be an overlap between each. So even if we know more about them, we could still get confused. Eventually it won't matter. If you are on a journey of expanding your consciousness, you will be proactive. So this would entail asking for either an ancestor or parallel life, depending on what your needs are. Some demons and angels have come from gods, but some have also come from civilization. So they help with very specific needs to heal from your culture. I will get more into detail on each in future podcasts, but we will briefly cover both. Demons help with deep reflection. So shadow work, the highlights being boundaries, working through triggers, traumas, fears, blocks, burning things down to build something new with the angels. In between the two, you pull from both to start building your foundation. This is a vital step that people either forget about or don't even know about. Angels help with doing. Their highlights include planning, building, taking the new information and new space from working with the demons to create something that is perfectly expressive without shadows holding you back or tainting your expression. If you don't work on building your foundation in the middle of the two, which is actually keeping you harmonized and building your sense of safety and stability, you could get overstuck reflecting into a spiritual depression. Or you could also do so much work that you get stuck burning out, mindlessly doing so much just to do something, likely pushing yourself into spiritual anxiety. We will end on New Earth because knowing more about this is extremely empowering. So spiritual people will say something like, raise your vibration to ascend, and they'll talk about ascending to quantified dimensions. This is far from empowering or helpful in my opinion, because as we discussed earlier, it is not quantifiable. Yes, we can give nicknames, but let's not gaslight ourselves. These are defining quantities. For example, going up, which comes from heavens or hierarchies. So they are talking about picking one vibration to go to a numbered dimension. You don't have to choose or do anything. It's already happened. Okay, so what's happened then? Earth and every being, dimension, reality, and realm has access to more energy space. You already know one of the reasons for energy limitation that we discussed in the last podcast, where the gods were going wild. We will discuss more about the other reasons of why there was a limitation in the first place in future podcasts. What does this mean for us? When we ask questions consciously or unconsciously in everyday life, we will stream big energy, and it will be so much easier to receive information, connect with our original energies, other energies, and parallel lives. Before, we were sort of capped at our earth higher self, ancestors, cloud realms, and gods. We couldn't stream directly. We always needed a middleman because Earth and our human bodies were not equipped. So if it's already happened, why are people having ascension symptoms? So our body and physical reality has to catch up with non-physical energy. So although we are already benefiting and have easier access to non-physical energy, our physical still has to go through processes to fully express our extra energy, just like everything we express on Earth. I'll give an analogy that helps explain the process of people who are having symptoms or feeling like something is still happening or going to happen. So, you go blindfolded with a sleeping mask on an airplane in the economy section. Someone taps you on the shoulder to say you have to move seats. When you get to the next seat, it feels different, but you ignore it and continue to assume you were in the wrong seat before. Then you put your legs out, and they can go so far. At the same time, the chair reclines back to a flat position. You finally take off your sleep mask and see that you have been upgraded to first class with so much more space and services. So now that you know that you have this space, all this space, and it's so much more clear, and it's the cliche thing people say of the veil thinning, it's actually this. What will you do with your new knowledge? How will you use this?